Welcome to my channel. My name is Anne. I'm a fashion designer and a craft addict. Here is another interesting tutorial on how to make a baby's dress, and today we'll be making a ribbon trimmed tulle dress. So stay till the end, and please take a moment to like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel, hit your notification bell so that you get notified when I upload a new video. Thank you for supporting this channel. God bless you. For this project, we'll be needing the following material. This is a combination of three colors: black, blue, and silver. This is sequence, and this is tulle, the soft tulle. This is satin, shiny face satin, taffeta, cotton lining. Note, this is pure cotton. It's best to use pure cotton when you're making dresses for babies, children, younger children. And this is the hard net. So this is satin ribbon. I'm not sure I'll be using this, but let it just be here for now. I might use it, I might not until then. But before we cut our fabric, we'll draft our pattern, and I'm drafting just the bodice. So this is our shoulder line, and I'll be taking the shoulder measurement, which is 8.5 divided by 2 is 4.25 here, and I'll be taking neck width of 1.75, that is here, and neck depth of 2 inches. I'll be coming down by 0.75. I'm taking the neck width here, 1.35, 1.75, sorry. So I'm just joining the points together. Note, this will serve as the front and this one will serve as the back. So for the armhole, I'm just taking 4 inches downwards. Marking 4 inches downward. Now the bust circumference of this 1-year-old is 21. 21 divided by 4 is 5.25, which is here. I'm not adding allowance yet. The half length of this dress is 7.5. This is it here. I'll be marking 7.5 here as well. So I'll just join. The waist circumference is the same as the bust circumference, so I'm taking 5.25 here on the waist. So I'll just join this to this. Note, this front part is on fold, and for the back we'll be cutting 2. So I'm just marking my midpoint here, and I'll be going in by half an inch, sorry. So I'll join these 3 points together, this to this to this. For the back armhole, I'll go in by 1/4 inch, My marker is drying up. I'll be joining the points as well. The same thing I did for the front. Now for the neck, I'll be using this my armhole curve. Let me just go up by 1 inch or 0.5. So for the back, this is my back. I want to add my zip allowance. So I'm taking 1.5 inches for zip allowance. And I'll be taking the same measurement up here. I'll just join these two together. So I'm just going ahead to cut out my pattern. I'll be cutting on the back armhole, then I'll trim off the front armhole later. Did not cut the back neckline because I'm cutting a different neckline from the front. So I just notched the neck width here. Then I have my patterns now. Let me trim off these parts. This is my zip allowance, so I'm trimming this part off. Now I have the front and the back. This front is on fold and this back we're cutting two of it. So now on this back neckline, I'll be coming down. Let me trim off this guideline, please. But for the back, I'll be going down as much as 4 inches because it's going to be a low back. So 4 inches here. And I'll be using this. You can make yours V. You can use your ruler to make yours a V neck, but I'm not doing V. I'll just curve. I'm just going to trim off the back neckline now. Then I'll go ahead and cut on my fabric. So when I'm cutting on my fabric, my front, I'll trim off this armhole. So as I was saying, when I'm cutting on my fabric, I'll be leaving my allowances here. I'll leave allowance on the shoulder here, the armhole, the side. Then at the bottom, I'll leave allowance for joining to the skirt parts. For the back, here I'll be cutting on fold. For the back, I'll be cutting two pieces. Then I'll leave my allowance all around here. That's size the neck. So I'm done cutting on my fabric and I left all the necessary allowance round. For the front, I cut this part on fold. I cut on the cotton lining taffeta and the main fabric, because I'll be using the taffeta to protect this sequence before I turn with the lining. So for the back, I did the same thing. I cut on the cotton lining, the taffeta, and the main fabric. So I'll be placing the main fabric to the taffeta like this, and I'll stitch them together all round. I'll do the same thing at the back. Now I'm just going ahead to join the pieces together. First of all, I'll be placing the sequence on the taffeta, then I'll stitch them together, sewing all the sides. I'll do the same on the back. I'm done sewing the taffeta and the sequence together. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm facing right sides together, armhole to armhole, like this. So I'm just going to stitch the shoulders. I'll do the same on the lining. I'll stitch the shoulders. I'll come back. So I'll just be placing the right side of the lining to face the right side of the main fabric, like this. So I'll open up the seams here and pin. I'll do the same thing here. So I'll go to my machine and I'll sew along the armhole, then I'll sew along the neckline and the other armhole before I join the sides. But after sewing the neckline, I'll notch the curved area the same with the armhole. So I'll just stitch here round and then the other armhole, then I'll come back and show you. So I've stitched it all round and I've gone ahead to notch the curves around the neck and the armhole. So what I'll do now, I'll just turn it inside out. Make sure to remove all your pins, please. I almost forgot this one now. So after turning, this is what we'll be having: the front and the back. Now the next thing we'll be doing is to join the sides by 0.75. That's the allowance I left for joining, 0.75. So what I did now, I'm putting this over this, the back over the front, and I'm joining the armhole seam to the other one. I'll just match it together, make sure that they are properly aligned. Putting the seams together, I hope you can see it. Then I'll pin. So I'll sew from here to here using allowance of 0.75. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Put the seams together, armhole to armhole, and pin. And since I joined the back armhole to the front armhole, and I'll just sew along the side. So from here to here, I'll sew using 0.75. Then let's just go to my machine, and I prefer to start from the seam itself so that it doesn't shift. I'm just taking out my pin. This is it. So I'm doing the same thing on this side. So we are done with our bodies. We are done with the upper parts of the dress. This is the back. This is our low back neck. So we'll set this aside and go over with the bottom parts. For the bottom of the dress, I'll start by cutting 180-degree flare, and to get the waist radius for 180-degree flare, you have to divide the waist by 3.14. Now the full length of the dress is 16 inches. I've taken out 7.5 for the upper bodies and I'm left with 8.5. So the height of the 180-degree flare is 8.5, but I'm adding 1.5 inches allowance because I'll need allowance to join on the waist, and at the bottom I'll weave and hem. So what I'm marking there is 10 inches, and I'll mark it all round, then go ahead and cut. Now I've marked where my toe will be sitting on, so I'm doing two layers. The first layer will be starting from here, and the second layer will be starting from here. So when I'm cutting my toe, I'll be cutting I'll be cutting 10 inches and 5 inches. On the two, I'm marking the 10 inches, but I'll add 1 inch for joining. So I'll just mark 11 inches and I'll be cutting two of that 11 inches. Then for the 5 inches, I'll add 1 inch for joining as well. So I'll be cutting a total of 6 inches for the shorter length, and I'll cut two of it. So I have two 11 inches and two 6 inches. I took one end of the tulle, and at the hem I'm sewing on the silver and the blue ribbon. I placed the tiny silver at the top of the blue ribbon, and I'm just sewing along that tiny strip. I'm using the P5 gathering foot to make gathers. So I'll make the gathers separately and use a straight stitch to sew onto the satin. Next, I'm sewing on the gather two onto the satin fabric. So I'll sew the first layer, then I'll go ahead and sew the second layer. Now, after gathering the first layer, this is the outcome. But before I did that, I weaved the edge of the satin and hemmed it by 0.25. So this is the first layer, and now I'm going ahead to sew on the second layer. So I'll just sew this over the first layer along the waistline. So I'm done fixing the tulle. We are done with the bottom parts. This is the tulle, the first and the second layer. So next we are just going to attach this to the upper bodice. So I'll mark the midpoint of this, then take the midpoint, and I'll be sewing on this main fabric only. I'm not sewing on the lining. I'm just sewing directly on the main fabric only. Then I'll attach the lining to the lining. These two skirts to the sequin parts and the lining to the lining. So I'm attaching them separately. I'm joining this to the main bodice, and I'm joining this lining to this. So when I do that, I'll come back and show you. So I'm done joining the upper bodice to the lower parts, and this is it. This is how the inside looks like. I went ahead to attach the taffeta to it. So I'll go ahead and weave and join the lining. So after cutting my nets, I've gone ahead to mark where my hard net will be sitting. Then I'll hem this bottom by 1/2 inch, then pleat this all around the marking. I'm done pleating the hard net on the lining. So what I'll be doing next now is to attach this lining to the dress. The reason why I said I won't be joining this lining together with the main bodice is because I want to attach them separately. Then by the time I fix my zip, I'll use the lining to enclose the zip for a neater finish. So what I'll just do now is to place my lining like this, stitch round, then turn over. After joining the lining, this is what it looks like inside. Now lastly, I'll just attach my zip and we are done. We have come to the end of this tutorial, and this is the final look. I've gone ahead to fix the zipper. I have closed, sealed all opening. This is the inside look. This is how it looks like on the inside. It is fully covered. All rough edges are enclosed. So I went ahead to add a detachable bow using the satin and the leftover trimmings just to give the back a little pop. And this is our front. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe to this channel, hit your notification bell so that you get notified when I upload a new video. Thank you for watching. Bye.